Hello and welcome to another edition of My Views with the News with me, Ian Pelham Turner on ALB UK Television. First of all, can I wish you all a Happy New Year? It's my first chance to wish you that, apart from that greeting that I sent just before the New Year started. So a Happy New Year to everyone in Albania and my Albanian friends in Britain at the same time. You're all marvellous people. I love you. Okay. So what is happening today in Albania? Well, it's interesting because the Americans have decided to help trying to stop corruption in Albania. And so they've given $4 million to the Albanian government to work and create almost like an FBI situation in America with the MBI and help to create a new style of corruption fighting program that they feel will work for the Albanians. This is really interesting at the moment because corruption seems to be one of the big words, not only in Albania, but in America as well at the same time. So we will see what actually physically happens at the end. But just to describe to the average Albanian, if there is such a person as this, that they created a video as well to actually talk about what they aim to do with this corruption fighting. So, as we all know, in the past, when we have talked personally to the Minister of Justice and the Minister of the Interior on this subject, they're always fighting this cause. And they have great relationships in Albanian government with the British government as well. So let's see what this brings. It's an interesting start to the new year. And as I say, it's a very interesting thought at the same time that some of the issues in America are supposed to be full of corruption. Well, at the same time, they're talking about it in Albania. There you go. That's politics for you. So what is happening in British politics? Well, today, Boris Johnson is talking about he's given 3 days to get the withdrawal bill through Parliament. And, he was up today talking about this, talking about what the issues are at Prime Minister's question time in the Houses of Parliament. And he is sort of saying that this will happen totally now by the 31st of January. And all the Conservatives are all shouting with their order papers saying, hooray, hooray, hooray. Okay. Very interesting times though. But the Labour Party are asking several questions for this withdrawal bill. One is, first of all, if there is no deal agreement by the end of the year 2020, can we have a 2-year extension? No, says Boris Johnson. Bojo is confident, he's adamant, we're out, we're off, we're going to do our own thing. But the reality is that when you listen at the moment to his strategy, and then of course with the Iranian-American situation going on as well, he's caught between two footstools. Does he totally follow the American cause? Yes, he has to a point, but at the same time, is he promoting more American aggression to Iran? No. So all the politicians are saying right now, and people like myself, political analysts are saying right now, he's walking this very, very dangerous tightrope. Get it wrong, and our Brexit deal with America sails out the window. So, as they say, the whole idea behind Brexit was to give us autonomous, that we were going to become our own country once more, not aligned everyone to every other country. So it's interesting times. How are we going to be seen with America? How are we going to be seen with the EU? The new president of the EU has said this morning in London as well that there will be an agreement, but it won't be anywhere near the agreement that we've had with the EU in the past. So let's see how these things progress. It's an exciting year, and everything that Bojo and all the Brexiteers have promised, let's hope it works. Let's hope it works. Please goodness. But are the British people totally convinced yet that this is going to be working for them? So one of the biggest methods of finding out how much confidence does the country have at present is in retail sales. Christmas time, a lot of the time, 80% of the retail sales for the whole of the year come at Christmas time. And this year, Oxford Street and all the other sort of big merchants are saying sales are either flattened out or they're slightly down. What this means at the moment is that, first of all, that the British public in reality are not that confident and so are not spending money. The first that they will see the excitement, the new excitement that Boris Johnson wants to have with Brexit is when they start spending money again. So it will be a very interesting time at the moment just to see what does happen. When is it going to start happening again? And the stores and the retailers will be really fighting tooth and nail to get all the people that they can for the future as well. So it's going to be quite a sales-driven year, I predict, for British retailers. And you may find that if things go sour, more retailers, some of the big stores, may disappear at the same time. And I wanted to finish off with something that was quite incredible that I was hearing about in the past couple of days. And a man called Peter James from Swansea, 10 days before he was due to walk his daughter up the aisle, he had this terrible paralysis problem where he lost the use of his arm and his leg. And it was thought that he was too ill even to attend the wedding, let alone walk his daughter up the aisle. Yet incredibly, they got physiotherapists on board with the arm and the leg, and he was able to stand up, and not only stand up, but walk his daughter, Catherine, up the aisle as well. So there are positive stories out there, and ALB UK television will always promote the positive, happy stories at the same time. So at the moment, yes, it's the start of the new year. I hope everything goes well for Brexit, I really do, because if it doesn't, then we're into great troubled times, no doubt about it. So let's hope that all the politicians in the government are now telling it as it is. Let's hope so, and let's hope that we can really create the domination, the patronisation of Britain as well, and the actual great feeling that we want to create. And just by the way, ALB UK TV also supports positivebritain.co.uk as well, and we will be doing interviews with Positive Britain at the same time to actually promote Britain at its best. I want to see Britain at its best, and I also want to see Albania at its best as well. It's going to be, please goodness, the most fabulous year. Okay, from me, Ian Pelham Turner on ALB UK TV, my views for the news. It's goodbye for now, and have a great day. Take care. Hello and welcome to another edition of positivebritain.co.uk. This week, and first of all, again, it's a Happy New Year week, guys, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm with Buky Olufemi and Michael Spooner.
Yeah. Hi, Happy New Year.
My two wonderful people, all part of this wonderful process called Positive Britain.
Yeah,
we want Positive Britain this year.
Right.
We're going to pump the energy up this year, aren't we? This is what it's all about. This is what it's about. Anyway. We've been looking at retail sales figures, and obviously that's one of the first indicators that how confident Britain will be post-Brexit. And they've either been static or even slightly in decline. So Michael, what do you think are the accelerators now necessary to actually get Britain back on its feet and get Britain spending?
Yes. Well, thanks, Ian. I think, we know the retail sales figures have been up and down. You've got, people like Sainsbury's going slightly down or flatlining.
Yeah.
But we've got a number of, people like Greg's have gone through the roof. So,
with this veggie...
veggies, with a new vegetarian
roll
or vegan type such response. So, look, foods and retail up and down, and it will be like that. But I don't think it's a big indicator of whether Britain is confident. I think we're still waiting for government to do the things that it's promised. And excuse me, I'm quite confident that now we've got a clear line from Mr. Johnson and his significantly large majority. I think if government spends the kind of money that they say they're going to spend, that's going to boost the economy. Large business now has confidence and clarity, and they were holding back investment, and if that investment comes in, that's, you're talking, Ian, you're talking about it could be up, 700 billion pounds worth of held back investment in large companies.
Don't you think at the same time though that the reality at the moment is British business may be slightly more confident, but retailers aren't.
No, they're not.
And retailers are one of the first real connectors, signs of, is Britain confident? Are the people of Britain confident? And so how do you change that mindset for the British people?
Yeah.
Business, yes, I get, but how do you change the mindset of British people?
Yeah, well, our confidence are the shoppers. You've got to give it time. We've just come into the new year. We've just had a new government. That people are kind of waiting and seeing before they start to decide on big purchases, spending, moving homes, investing, spending money in the shops. It would be very unwise of you to do any of that yet until you see whether the government's going to stick to its promises.
Do you think people have the money, or they're just not spending the money?
Well, we do have record levels of debt in Britain. The average household debt is about £14,000. We excluded mortgage debt. So, people are indebted, and the economy does need consumers to spend money and to purchase things to keep the economy ticking over, particularly as well as buying and selling and renting homes as well. So there is a kind of pent up caution there, because there's optimism, but there's kind of people waiting and seeing, and it needs government to spearhead. At these times in the kind of economic cycle, you need government to actually push forward, and again, they're waiting and see. It's kind of wait and see. But I'm convinced that we will, over the January, February, as soon as we go through January and then you get into the trade talks, you'll see a slow increase or building of consumer confidence, and people will start to spend more money.
Buky, you're a very fashionable young lady, obviously.
Far more fashionable than us.
So have you been rushing into the stores for sales?
Yes.
What do you think?
Well, it's interesting because, I think in uncertain times we sort of tend to be more careful with our money, I think. At the moment right now, for me and a lot of people I know, they're staying in the same jobs that they're in because they're not sure financially what's going to happen. I've got a friend, and she hasn't taken a new job with a better promotion. She doesn't know if she's going to get exactly what she wants, so she's actually staying where she's staying put in order to save up and accumulate her finances so she can buy a house. In terms of, you mentioned that as consumers, we retailers, we are the first point of contact, and you can actually gauge the mood and our confidence in our spending power. There was a downturn in retail over even from stats show actually from consumer power, spending power last year November, and this year there was a decrease of 1.9. So there was, it's almost it's almost a lack of confidence in retail, high street shopping. Shopping's changed, and then you need to start asking about, do retailers then need to rethink how we get us all back onto the high street, or do we like online shopping, and is that where we're going to stay put? For me, I think at the moment, we've just had we've got a new Prime Minister. We're holding on it's uncertain times, and that's reflected in our holding back, closing our wallets, and just seeing what's going to happen. But that doesn't mean that that things won't change. I think it's maybe looking about how we spend, how we choose to spend, and what would get us back into the high street, and giving us that confidence again to start spending. Maybe it's not clothes, maybe it's not retail, maybe it is, it lies with food, and going with what the movement is at the moment. We talked about Greggs, and there's a surge in vegan sausages. Yeah. Maybe it's looking at, what are the
Perhaps
people...
they've got to start putting out the smell of vegan sausages along Oxford
maybe
Street.
We need to pull up on tofu.
Making everyone feel hungry.
Right, that's it. Maybe we all need to pull up on tofu. I for one won't be, but maybe it's just looking at the trends and what we're interested in at the moment. Maybe it's listening to the shopper and the way we like to shop. So maybe it's about the retailers rethinking how we get us back onto the high street, and maybe shopper experience.
So, Michael, how do you incentivize Buky to spend again? And the millions of Bukys across Britain. What can stores physically do to actually create that incentive?
Yeah. Well, first, I think this is happening. All stores are going to have their online proposition, finding new innovative ways of enticing young women to not young women. Women largely spend 70% of the consumer spend in this country. So it's focusing on how do you encourage women spenders to spend their money on the things that they want. So it's really things like you get, for instance, there's some retailers where people are now renting rather than owning clothes, for instance. So there's some retailers, I'm trying to think of a brand, but there's quite a few of them now. It's quite a trend. So you've got the sharing economy, the circular economy, and you've got this kind of renting economy where people rent clothes for a period of time, particularly if you've got a high and expensive. So they need to come up with different models of, you don't actually have to own everything you buy. Sometimes you can purchase it for a period of time and then give it back. A bit like what we do with audible books, for instance. You don't own the book, you purchase it to use it, like the Kindle and so on. So I think there's a kind of different way. Retailers need to look at different models, different ways of repurposing their shops, their products, their offer, their services.
I mean, they're often
and that's quite challenging.
Absolutely, they're often talking about now. Brent Cross in London, for example, is talking about doubling its capacity, the size of Brent Cross, but turning it into an experience.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. So, Buky, what do you think about experiences?
Right, I think experience is everything. You've really got to move with the times and the shopper, and you've got to listen to, just the majority, and how spending's changing. The way we like to spend changes, and you've got to, if you want in on the profits, you've got to move with the times. So shop experience is everything. Maybe we don't need 20 more restaurants. Maybe we don't need how many other, what it is that they're trying to pump out at us. Maybe the way they deliver what we buy is what we're really looking at. What I'm talking about is shopper experience. How do you do that? Look at Primark. For me, I say it all the time, they get it right every time.
Absolutely.
So it's just thinking about the family as a whole. When the husband goes off to buy his jacket or his baseball caps, does the wife want to troll around him, or vice versa? There should be a cafe to sit down while you hold the bags and everyone does the shopping.
I totally agree. I mean, I think with Primark it's a very good example where there's nail bars now.
There's nail bars.
There
You've
is
got a stylist.
cafes.
That's right.
I mean, all these different things, are designed to make buying a more pleasurable activity again.
That's right.
So Michael, things like that is probably, that going to be the future. What would you like to see in a positive manner this year? Because Positive Britain is all about being positive and wishing Britain all the best and promoting Britain as best as we can.
Yeah.
So what would you like to see this year happen?
Yeah, well, first I want a fantastic trade deal, of course. I want to see that happen. I know it's something promised, but I want to see that happen because I think the country needs it, and I think we want to bring our communities together. I want to see government be more positive in stop talking about Brexit and Remainers and move away from that conversation and move towards Britain as
Do you think Britain has healed yet?
No, not at all. I don't think so. But I think we can heal if we want to. If government leads it, then
What do you think he needs to do to actually heal Britain? Because if you look at the result of the election, there was a huge majority for Boris Johnson. But if you look at the vote capacity of all the Remain parties and the Leave parties, the Remain party has got 53% of the vote.
Exactly.
So where do you, what is necessary to actually unite Britain?
I think the Prime Minister needs to start putting honest, truthful statements out about moving away, start to create a campaign or a narrative to say, look, we've got to this point with Brexit, we have this majority, but we want to bring everybody together. He's going to govern for the whole nation, not just the areas that he needs to win, he's going to sustain, but it needs to be a bit more cross-party around some of the issues where both parties, the Labour Party and the Conservatives, don't disagree on. So if they are going to pump all this money into NHS, why don't they sit down with the Labour Party and do a proper cross-party consensus around it? So it means a different type of politics. I don't know whether the Conservatives can do this, but if from Positive Britain's point of view, we want a different type of politics.
A coalition of
ideas. On the areas that they agree on. I'm not so. Of course, they're going to argue over their economic policy, and that's
Sure.
That's okay. But things that are in the national interest, the NHS, welfare, 20,000 more police, the security and the defence of the realm, the regeneration of disadvantaged communities, things that both parties are clearly talking about, and they both more or less agree. And this issue about Scotland, what to do about Scotland and how the Scottish feel, and they clearly there's complex issues there. There needs to be a way of governing in a way which is in the national interest.
For the people.
For the people.
In other words,
not for the party.
That's what's the branding. So, Buky, what would you like to see in 2020? What's going to inspire your generation?
Right, what I would like to, just, leading from the back of what Michael said, I think we need a coalition of the two parties. I think for me, I feel like people have accepted what is now, that, we know who's in government, we know what their policies are. Now I think people are just looking for what the plan is. I think we know what the situation is now. We just want a sort of a coalition of ideas, because if we what we saw, that it was a vote for Brexit, and that's why the Tories won. It's not because the Labour supporters didn't believe, didn't stand to their beliefs anymore. We just wanted, I think now we've accepted what it is, and we just want him to deliver now. So for me, what it looks like in 2020 is a coalition of ideas to just get the country back on form and moving forward with the plan. Yeah.
Well, guys, as always, we're out of time now, so thank you so much for the two of you.
Thank you for having
us. And as you can see, there's going to be a very exciting year, we feel, at positivebritain.co.uk regarding the future of the country, how it's going to evolve, and how politics, people, even the future of the country is really sort of tied together. Are we going to be strongly autonomous from other countries, or are we going to be reliant on other countries still? So that's the question for the future. But from the two of you, thank you so much again for
Thanks for
appearing
having
on
us.
the show. And from me, Ian Pelham Turner, I have to wish you another great afternoon. Thank you so much for watching, and please go to positivebritain.co.uk for any further details.
Great.
Take care and bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.